Hello, I'm Guano Gyang, CEO of Honest. I majored in film art and I am currently studying digital technology. Recently, the digital alienation problem is drawing attention. If you're looking for a new solution, I think you'll be interested. So let's start the presentation of the Common Digital Identification Project. As you know, most developing countries have very low digital identity penetration rates. Because of this, international organizations and charities are having a lot of difficulties in relief activities. There are several digital identity verification projects going on as shown on the right side. Nowadays, electronic ID cards and vaccine passports are representative means. However, independent systems by country are being established, and they cannot spread globally. In the meantime, people with unclear nationality are becoming more marginalized. According to a survey by ID 2020, more than 1 billion people have not been issued digital ID. I saw that the root cause was the legal guarantee-oriented identity issuance structure. In fact, there are many cases of alienation from traditional digital identity systems. Refugees are typical. As shown in the graph, the alienation of the elderly who are not familiar with digital is also a serious situation. The phenomenon that digital education opportunities are not provided fairly is widespread at the global level. This is a decisive cause of the information asymmetry phenomenon, and it is also a factor that accelerates the gap between the rich and the poor. Based on the previous phenomenon, we have summarized the conditions for common digital identity system. 1. Easy to use including elderly, poor and disabled people. 2. Strictly distinguish between public and private usability. 3. Self-sovereign authenticate without established forces. The ultimate goal here is the third, but it will be implemented only when the previous two are met. The first solution is electronic identifier standard must be established and standardized. The most basic first level is based on the PUF chipset, which gives each device its own identity. The second and third level provide additional security and convenience features. Level 2 includes Level 1 and a switching switch is added, which will be described in detail on another page. Level 3 adds a function of receiving and processing the end user's intention to authenticate, such as biometric information or one-time password. The core purpose of this system design is to clearly locate the data based on the hardware terminals and provide it as physical evidence in case of emergency. This allows you to build a data sovereignty authentication scheme around dedicated hardware terminals, including personal data stores. This requires the stabilization of the activation system first. We propose the use of the credential data standard developed independently in Korea called a accredited certificate as common life. This technology is currently open to the private sector and is actively used in the private certification industry in Korea. Tens of millions of people have been using it for more than 20 years, and technology verification has entered a stabilization stage. These technologies can be leveraged to apply to the electronic ID card device genuine activate or deactivate function. In the data ownership authentication system of the existing platform, the dedicated terminal was a secondary authentication device that was subject to the authority of the central server. Almost all existing authentication systems, including the FIDO protocol, follow a server-client structure. Of course, our system also includes a server-client structure. However, most importantly, it is strictly limited to activation or deactivation of the device and does not intervene in the data transaction and identity verification process between the device owners after these credentials are completed. This illustration illustrates the architecture of this system. Networking is done in a P2P protocol between your own electronic identifier and node, or node and server, as shown. The server checks genuine registry of the electronic identifier and authorizes the use of the device. Platform operators operate meta-information and PKI brokerage services around the clock using public servers that are easily accessible to anyone. This system infrastructure allows for the creation of a holacracy network that each dedicated terminal user takes the initiative to operate. Afterwards, users can authenticate themselves through their nodes and use various credential services. Therefore, it can be said that this is a true self-sovereign identity solution centered on one's own whose certification procedures are not subordinate to the authority of the central institution. From a user convenience point of view, the process of use is summarized as follows. A user of identity use one's own electronic identifier as the subject and the node as the object. This method can be enables device owner-centered identity authentication. These functions can be provided as user services by adding various technologies, such as distributed ledger and DID to dedicated applications installed on node terminals. The following is an example of implementing the previous functions as a mobile app. Anyone who uses a smartphone can install and use it, and you can also register your social security number card as shown in the picture. This image is a Korean residence number card. Such as hybrid interchange method will be effective on supported to minimize confusion in system transitions. Here is how to implement a scientific observation-based identity identification algorithm. I named it Proof of Activity method. The key to this solution is to periodically publish data that combines the location information of a hardware device called an absolute identifier with its time, and to publicly record and verify it in public storage, such as a public server. This allows you to provide a new concept of identity generation solution that allows the device owner and identity party to prove their physical existence. The basic principle is similar to the traditional GPS positioning method. However, the GPS terminal aims to measure absolute location. But this system measures the existence of the object through relative positioning between genuine terminals registered on the platform. It would be nice to think of it as an actual commercialization service of the concept of spin network proposed by Sir Roger Penrose. It's a theoretically deep area, so I'll skip the detailed explanation. Even so, personal information protection is essential for movement data. This variety of end-to-end encryption technologies can help maintain high security in data transactions between individuals. In particular, homomorphic encryption technology can calculate the identification data, so it can be used as big data while reducing the possibility of personal information infringement as much as possible. The following is a diagram showing the identity cognition and identification system. As shown on the left, legacy authentication methods have been used separately based on the social consensus system. This project, on the other hand, first generates identities based on scientific measurements. After that, the social consensus system is used secondly, third and fourthly, hardware and data-based authentication systems are used. This enables more efficient services while encompassing the existing underprivileged. This is the last solution. Switchable identification. Physical switches make it easy to switch to different levels of identity. Many hardware manufacturers have registered unique serial numbers on their devices to verify ownership. In the case of mobile phones, a standard called IMEI is used. It is a terminal structure that can physically move the IR module that can record the unique information of this hardware and use it for identity authentication at 3 security levels. The leftmost off is to physically disconnect the communication unit and make it unusable. If you put the switch in the position of A, it can be used for anonymous identity, or if you put it in the position of B to which the general storage is connected, it can be used for alias identity authentication. In addition, if the encrypted storage is placed in the location of C connected to it, it can be used for real name identity authentication or financial payment purposes. This method helps users who are not familiar with how to use the software easily select and utilize digital authentication services with only the physical manipulation of the device. We restrict related patents to public interest purposes and only allow nonprofit organizations to use them. This aims to be an integrated platform for digital identity authentication systems and associated technology standards. The following is a method of agreement scheme on P2P network. It looks a little complicated, but the principle is simple. Person A and B connect their electronic identifiers and nodes directly, respectively, and then connect to the authentication server to prove that they are real people. After that, connect with the other node to check the other side's proposal or information, and record the agreement in the form of a distributed ledger on each node. This is how the convention is implemented. The certification process for this is as shown. Various security technologies such as credential data, AID, and DID are applied, so they are somewhat technically complex. However, users can easily use the app's UI/UX. In addition, public authentication services can be implemented by adding distributed ledger technology to this. I have summarized the target user that will make use of the such solution. First of all, refugees and nomads. It can also be used in cases where nationality is deprived or lost due to war or political situations. Secondly, the poor, the underprivileged. It is expected to be useful for natives in remote areas, including Africa and Southeast Asian developing countries. This can also be useful in wartime situations or criminal investigations. The third is a private activist, an anarchist. It can contribute to the anarchic activities of NGOs, including independent artists who are difficult to judge their identity due to their unique personality. In order to create a stable ecosystem of this system, it is necessary to establish a private standard organization. It will be responsible for establishing technical standards, developing prototypes, and announcing governance. This project should be carried out as a global public service, and organic collaboration between companies, activists, and the media is essential. As we are doing NPE company, recently our US and EU patents are being registered, had formed available business models. Development and implementation are not in our domain, so it is urgent to find a good partner to realize the plan. Currently, we are looking for a main partner to support the project. And we would like to license these patents free of charge to an exclusive consortium or initiative organization. Through these public utilities, we gain initial recognition and aim for businesses outside of the nonprofit sector in the long run. Overseas patents will be available through commercial licensing agreements, and confidential technical documents can be provided. Nowadays, we are faced with rapidly development of science and digital technology. We are in an era of transformation in which mankind around the world is integrated into the same culture. Even without this proposal, I believe that the demand for common digital identity solutions will continue to increase at the international level of cooperation. I am guessing that this idea will be the first to be commercialized in the West, which is sensitive to human rights and is struggling with refugee issues. I consider the possibility of commercialization through a public interest consortium to be the most practical. I look forward to the day when the digital human rights problem will be resolved through this proposal. With this, I'll end my presentation. Thank you.